Okay, so now 4.2, solving equations using multiplication and division. So remember that the goal of solving equations is to get the variable by itself. So to do this, you need to isolate the variable using inverse operations. So for example, if we're adding 23, we would subtract 23. If we are subtracting 18, then we need to add 18. Multiplying by negative 15, we are going to divide by negative 15. We keep our sign when we're multiplying and dividing. And then divide by 8, that means we are going to multiply by 8. All right, let's get started. So now it's still one-step equations, and I know that, again, you could probably do this in your head. However, we are practicing showing our work. So we need to balance the equation, and we need to get x by itself. Right now, x is being divided by 3. So right now, we have division. So we're going to draw our line down the equal sign, and whatever we do to the left side, we're also going to do to the right side. So the inverse of division, the opposite, would be multiplication. So let's multiply. So whenever I am multiplying, I always do it off to the side. That's a 3. So I'm multiplying on both sides. And when you do this, anything like, so 3 and then divided by 3, that gives us a 1, right? So now we have 1x. But remember, we don't have to write a 1 in front of the x. So I'm going to just write x. So it's a little bit different. With adding and subtracting, you're trying to cancel them out and get it to equal 0. When you're multiplying and dividing, you divide or multiply by the inverse, and that gives you a 1, and that allows there just to be a 1 in front of our x. Then we bring down our equal sign, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. So that means that x is negative 18. So to check our work, we are going to plug negative 18 where the x was, and we're going to divide that by 3. So negative 18 divided by 3 gives us negative 6. And that's correct because that's what it should equal in our equation. So we got it right. Let's do another one. So right now, when something is next to a letter, that means we are multiplying. So we could put a little dot here, but mathematicians are lazy. So we just stick it next to the letter. So that means we have negative 4 times y. So negative 4 times some number will give us 18. Okay, so we are multiplying, which means the inverse is to divide. So the inverse is division. So I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign. And my goal is to get y by itself. So that means that I am going to divide by negative 4. And the reason I'm dividing by a negative 4 is because 2 negatives cancel out. And then 4 divided by 4 is just a 1. So now I have just one y, but remember we don't have to write the 1, so we're just going to write the y, equals, and then whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. So I divided by negative 4, so that means that I'm going to just simplify this fraction. Think of it as just negative or positive. It's just 18 over 4 over negative 4. So I'm just going to divide by 2 on top and bottom. So that means that 18 divided by 2 gives me 9. And 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. And then we just keep the negative in front of it. You can keep it on the bottom or the top. It really doesn't matter as long as there's just one negative. If you really wanted to, you could call it negative 4.5, like if you put it in your calculator. But this will actually help you if you keep it as a fraction for chapter 13, and that's where we go right after this. So trust me on this. Keep it as -9/2. So now let's check it. So instead of having 4 times y, I'm going to take out the y, and I'm going to plug in -9/2. Now remember, any whole number is over 1, and it doesn't change the problem. And then we just multiply straight across. So 4 times 9 is 36. And 1 times 2 is just 2. And we need it to equal 18, so let's check. Half of 36 does equal 18, so we got it right. All right, so now I want you to solve the circled problems. And on the decimals and stuff, obviously, you can use a calculator. That's fine. Let's go this one. So we're going to do A, C, and E. So you're going to pause the video, and then you're going to solve both or all 3 of those problems. And then you're going to check your answers by plugging it back in, just to make sure we got it right. And then when you are done with that, you'll hit play, and you'll check your answers with mine. Okay, so on A, we're dividing by 5, so the opposite is to multiply by 5 on both sides. That cancels out my division problem, leaving me with just x, and then -2 times 5 is 10, and it'll be -10. So now if I plug -10 in for x, so that's -10 divided by 5, that equals -2, which is what my original equation said it needed to equal. So that means that the left side of my equation has to equal -2. So when I plug in a -10, that's the only way it equals -2. So x equals -10. On C, we are multiplying by -1.5. So it means we're going to divide by -1.5 on both sides. That cancels out my negatives, and it cancels out my 1.5, leaving me with just n. And then 3 divided by -1.5 is -2. So let's check our work here. So we need to see if -1.5 times -2 equals 3. And if it does, we got the equation right. So 2 times 1.5 is 3. So this does equal +3, which is what we wanted. In E, we are multiplying by -5, so the opposite is to divide by -5 on both sides. That cancels out my negative and my 5. So 32 divided by 5, you can keep it as 32/5, or if you really, really wanted to, you could plug it into the calculator and get 6.4 equals P. So now let's check our work. So -5 times 32/5 should equal just 32. So -5 times 32 is 160, and it's negative. And then you divide by 5, and that does equal -32. So we got that one right. All right, solving equations with factorial coefficients. So when we have a factorial coefficient, that just means that we have a fraction being multiplied by x. So is there a fraction? Yep. What is the reciprocal? So the reciprocal means the flipped fraction. So we're going to keep the negative, but instead we have 5/4. So that's what we're going to use to multiply to get rid of it. So we're going to draw our line down the equal sign. We need to multiply by our reciprocal, and I'll show you off to the side why that matters. So I'm going to multiply by negative 5 over 4. And the reason for that is, and I'm just going to do positives on this side, but if I had 4/5, the reciprocal is 5/5, or 5/4, sorry. And when you multiply straight across, 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 divided by 20 is 1. And remember, that's what we want our new coefficient to be. So we want the number in front of x to equal 1. So over here, negative 4 times negative 4 is going to be negative 16. I wrote it wrong on the side. Woo! Glad I noticed that one. I meant to write 5 over 4 here. There we go. Negative 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. And 20 divided by 20 is 1. Bring down my x. But remember, you don't have to actually write the 1. So we are just going to write an x. You will see me from here on out. I skip this step, and I just do this. Those cancel each other. But now we're going to multiply straight across. So that gives me negative 8 times negative 5 is going to be 40 over 4. And then that would be, because this is over 1, x equals 10, because 40 divided by 4 is 10. So now let's check it. So 4/5 negative times 10 should equal negative 8. So 4 times 10 is 40. Keep your negative. Divide by 5 does equal negative 8. We got it right. All right, I'm actually just going to have you do this one on your own, and then you'll hit play and check your answer with mine. So is there a fraction? Yup. What is the reciprocal? Well, we have 3 halves. Now we're going to turn that into 2/3. So when I multiply straight across, and these end up canceling. So the 3's cancel and the 2's cancel. So that leaves me with just x equals on that side. And then multiply straight across. So 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 over 3 times 1 is 3. And then negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. So let's check our answer. I'm going to do it down here because I ran out of room. But we have negative 6 equals 3 times 2. And instead of the x, I'm going to put a negative 4 here. And I'm going to put that over 1 just to help me out. So 3 times 4, negative 12. 2 times 1 is 2. Negative 12 divided by 2 does equal negative 6. We got it right. And we are not going to do all those try-its. Instead, I would rather you get your own practice with your homework.